Hello, in this video I am going to show you how to implement checks. So that's what they're called in Bootstrap, checks in forms. They're basically checkboxes, radio boxes, those sort of selection items. So I will provide a link to the Bootstrap API guide where you can see all the different features. I will cover the basic features and everything that you generally need to get going. And this is what check is. They call it a check, but you probably know it as a checkbox, and you got radio buttons as well. So I will show you a fair bit of this functionality. So let's just get straight to it. I'm already using the code from a previous video. You could have an empty form, does not matter. Okay, so I am gonna just copy this and just delete the content. I'm basically just gonna be using this structure. So get rid of this. And I'm going to put a div class, and this is form dash check, and in here we need an input, and this is going to have a class of form dash check dash input. It's going to have a type, and this is going to be checkbox. We're going to have a value, and we're going to leave this empty, but maybe you want to assign some sort of value with it. It might be numerical, it might be string based, that when the user selects it, you could use something like JavaScript or jQuery to get that value. Or when they submit the form, depending on what's selected, they could get the value and store in a database, for example. So that is possible. So ID equals, I'm going to put checkbox 1. And there we go. Okay, so we're gonna put a label now, and this is just optional, but it's always good to have a label for a couple of reasons. One, it allows you to describe what that actual checkbox is for. Otherwise, the user's just literally seeing random labels, random checkboxes. And two, it allows this feature, which I'll show you in a second. So you want to put the same ID here, and I think this is really cool. And I'm just gonna put epic checkbox, but obviously feel free to make it more contextual. And one example is if you go onto a login page, below the email address and let's say the password field, you might have a remember me checkbox. So that's a great example. So I can click on it, enable it, disable it. But because I've done that for and linked it with the ID, if I click on the text, it also checks it as well. So that's a little great feature. You can also make you can make them disabled as well. So to make one of these disabled, it is really simple. You just put the disabled attribute. It is not equal to anything. Reload. That that is triggering that, and that is because I have not updated the for and the ID. So make sure you do that. I've made that mistake before, and you'll be triggering a previous element as it was there. So disabled checkbox. So if I reload now, it is all good, but we cannot select it. So maybe the user needs to do something else for that to become enabled. Next, what I'm going to show you is a radio box. I'm going to put a horizontal rule just to separate the radio box, because the radio buttons usually are sort of linked to each other. And so what we're going to do is have this. Actually, I'll have all of this because the code is pretty similar, to be fair. So I'll have this form check input. This will be now radio. We're gonna have a name, and we're gonna put for the name. I'll just put radio box 1. You can put whatever you want. This is what you would be using, when you submit the form to be able to get hold of it. Radio box 1. I'm gonna put I'm not gonna have any value, and we're gonna have radio box 1. Radio box 1. Don't want to make these disabled, so we can leave that out. We're gonna have one checked by default. That's what you always want to do with a radio button. That's one of the unique things about a radio button is you'll have multiple. Only one of them can be selected at any given time. If you select one, the previously selected one will be not disabled, unchecked, and you generally have one always enabled at the start. And pretty common practice to make it the first one. So we'll put this as radio box 1, and I'm literally going to put radio box 1. Okay, so what we're going to do is duplicate the form check inside of here, and we're going to change this to radio box 2, radio box 2. We only want one of them checked. Radio box 2, radio box 2. You generally will only probably have one of the one set of these in any given form. So if I save that, reload, here we go. So if I select that, as you can see, I can't deselect it. But if I select radio box 2, and okay, something has messed up. The name, sorry, needs to be the same. So I'm just gonna put radio box epic. There we go. So if I try and deselect it, doesn't work. If I select another one, you'll deselect whatever was previously selected. You can have as many as you want. So yeah, just make sure the name is the same for all of them. That's how it is linked, and that's how you could have separate, sort of sections of radio buttons. The last one I'm going to show you is the form switch, and I will put another horizontal rule just for formatting purposes, and I will copy this one, put it there. Form check, we also need a form switch as well. Form check input, that's all good. Type is checkbox. You can have a value if you want to. I'm going to put the ID as switch. I don't want it disabled, but you can put the disabled attribute there. And the only last thing I need to do here is put that switch, and just optionally change this to switch text. If I reload, we got this switch, and as you can see, there's a nice little animation. This is more akin to what you would see on mobile, especially this sort of design is very similar to what you see on iOS. And as you can see, it looks very good on all screen sizes. There are a lot more, different options that you can do. You can stack them, inline them. This is a pretty cool one. You can, toggle it, and the radio button, so single toggle like so. You can do that sort of stuff. There's quite a bit, but I've shown you the basics. If you have any questions, feel free to put me a message on Discord or any other way. All the links are in the description, plus a link to this webpage will also be there. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.